What is going on, comic fans? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. Today is going to be a little bit of a different video. We're going to be talking about the streaming wars from Netflix to HBO Max and everything in between. Streaming has changed television and movie releases, some for the better, some for the worse. And we're going to be looking at some of the angles of both of those and ultimately asking you for some feedback because I'm curious what other people think. I have my own ideas on this one and I'm going to get into them. I'm going to share them, but definitely leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. We're going to get into it right after this. Be sure to check the description of any of all my videos to find some great links to some fantastic resources like Big Time Collectibles, JustinComicx Cleaning and Pressing, and ABX Comics and Games. If you're looking to set up a comic book pool list and never miss out on weekly releases, this is where I get all my books, and they have a link down below. They do mail-in lists as well, so you don't have to miss out on anything for not being close to the Augusta area, and they do free shipping on orders over $100, so let's get into it. I have recently just finished up the entire rewatch through of Stranger Things right before the huge event that is the final season. This is releasing on the 26th of this month, and they're doing it in 3 separate parts. So it'll be 4 episodes released on the 26th, 3 episodes released on Christmas, and the big grand finale released on New Year's. And that had me thinking, Netflix is King Kamehameha when it comes to the streaming services, but there are some other phenomenal streaming services out there that do things completely different than Netflix. While I like just as much as the next person being able to sit down at my leisure and grab what I want to watch and watch it, kind of like how Netflix does with their binge drops, I really appreciate the medium of television releasing things weekly, like Welcome to Derry, which is absolute top tier television, like silver screen quality television out now on HBO. And it had me thinking of the difference of the two from streaming the weekly drops or streaming a binge drop, and ultimately its effect on the industry as a whole. So Netflix, just to go ahead and put it out there, is kind of like, I don't know, like a giant amongst midgets. It's like a lion amongst dogs. It's a complete outlier. They had a huge head start on everyone else, like almost a decade ahead of everyone else. And pretty much everything, when you see what charts and what's like the top viewed stuff or top, it's Netflix across the board. It's Netflix, with every now and then you get an outlier. So it's really not even fair to compare Netflix to the other streaming platforms. They kind of do their own thing, and they're the ones that invented this binge drop. Back when they first came out, it was kind of their whole hallmark is, if we're going to make this season, we're going to release all of it at one time and you can watch it how you see fit. It was almost like handing someone the physical copy at the tip of their remote. Back in the day, back in the good old days, you would have a TV show come out once a week, might take an off week for a holiday or something, might have a special 2-parter, might have something, but then you'd have to wait for its off season. And right before it came out with its next season, they would release the whole thing on DVD or Blu-ray. So if you watch season 1 of Lost, right before season 2 came out, they would drop season 1 on physical and you can watch it then. But Netflix changed the game by just handing you all of that right on the front end. Now, where this gets a little dicey is when you introduce all of the would-be competitors. You had Disney Plus, HBO Max, Hulu, all these other streaming services pick up all around the same time, poorly timed really at the front end of the pandemic. But they're throwing their hat in the ring trying to do the same thing, but they're a little bit different than Netflix. They're all pre-existing studios and companies that had a format for the way things work. You know, they would release a movie in the theater, they would wait X number of months, and then they would announce when it came out on physical, and then it would come out on DVD, Blu-ray. Then some time after that, it would get optioned to a television network, and they would make a lot of money all along the way. But when it came to TV shows, they had networks like ABC that would run a show once a week for seasons and this and that. But they started doing original content for their streaming platforms. So they've been trying to experiment with how to do this. And it's kind of interesting. You'll see shows that they believe a lot in, like The Mandalorian for Disney Plus, that they release on a weekly basis. And it got great reviews early on. People were subscribing to their platform, coming to watch it week by week, talking about it. But then you'd have some time go by and stuff not really turn out well for these streaming platforms. And they start messing with the model itself. You'd have stuff that they know is going to flop, they know isn't going to be good, like Echo or Ironheart, and they would just drop the entire season on the front end. They're breaking their own formula, just trying to get it out there so it doesn't dominate the press. It comes out, gets some bad press, some pushback, and then the next thing happens. But then you look at even Netflix, who started all this binge weekly conversation thing, they even started toying with their own format. So with Stranger Things, season 4, they released it in 2 separate parts, and they were testing the waters. They did it again with The Witcher and some other stuff they've done. They've broken up the season. And now with this new one, they're releasing it in 3 separate parts. Now, they don't have an official statement that I could find that said anything about it, but there's numerous things that all go into it, from the cultural relevance, meaning that they want this show to be talked about for as long as possible. So if they release it over the course of 3 key dates, people will be talking about it for days on end after it drops. It'll slowly fizzle out, and then the next set will come out, and it'll be talked about. It'll be getting all the headlines. There's that aspect of it. And then there's the streaming aspect of it. You want the viewership. You want your projects that you invest and spend money in to bring you new subscribers. That's what Disney has fought tooth and nail with, and having a lot of stuff kind of backfire on them. Their goal is to gain subscribers. Netflix has them. Netflix has subscribers. They're not really hurting for subscribers, I don't think. They're incomparable to the other ones, but it's still, of course, as a company, they want to see growth. So doing this over 3 separate things would kind of keep those subscribers over a longer stint of time. If you had somebody that's just going to subscribe for a day or set up a first-time free trial account, you got them for a little bit longer. Return viewers will start watching other stuff in the meantime and all that jazz. But ultimately, they know that having separate days on what's not even arguably the biggest original streaming show of all time is going to draw on a lot of folks. And that has me thinking, like, is it worth it for all of these shows to switch back to the week-by-week basis, kind of like how Welcome to Derry is? HBO puts out top-tier grade A television and has for my entire life. It's what they're known for. They've never done binge drops. They know that their show is good enough that people will come back to watch the next episode more often than not. You look at a show like The Penguin. The Penguin was fantastic. No one expected it to be as good as it was. The viewership for the finale was widely larger than the viewership for the premiere. People were watching it on a week-by-week basis. They were talking about it. Other people were hearing about it and coming to check it out. The best form of marketing that any show or movie can ever hope for is strong word of mouth. People trust their friends, relatives, neighbors more than they trust the internet, social media, any of that stuff. And that word of mouth will help carry it. And that water cooler conversation, that going to work on Monday morning after the most recent episode of Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead and wanting to talk about it with your coworkers, wondering what they think will happen next. That cliffhanger is driving me crazy. I wonder if they have a better theory than I do. We're missing that. We're missing that ability to celebrate the fandom of these shows and events with these binge drops. With Stranger Things, it's such an anomaly with how big of a hit it is. Like, it's the only Netflix show that I know of that has a physical media release. All 4 seasons you can go and buy on DVD or Blu-ray. Netflix actually teamed up with Warner Brothers Distributing to make DVDs and Blu-rays to put on shelves because it's that popular. They don't do that with their other stuff. Like, there's some major Netflix movies and stuff that I would love to put in my physical media collection, but they don't invest in physical media, but they did for Stranger Things. You can go to your local Target and they have entire end caps and rows that are dedicated just to Stranger Things. Action figures, t-shirts, Demogorgon popcorn buckets, all kinds of stuff. It is a massive, huge hit. Think of how much bigger it would be if it was on that weekly basis, where it didn't just come out for 1 day out of the year, or in this new season's case, 3 days out of the year, but it came out for 8 weeks in a row, 9 weeks for one season. You would have the audience for even longer. You would have more people talking about it, more people sharing in the fandom. And that's one thing that's kind of getting lost on this binge dropping, or the way that people consume streaming with the just, I'll go watch it when I watch it. There's no incentive to be at your television at a certain time and day. Like, I love the scheduled television on demand option thing a whole lot. Like, if I'm going to can be there, drop the show, I can't wait to do it. Call my friends, talk to them afterwards. But if I can't make it, you can always on demand it. Just go back and turn it on right then and there. But it's taking away that little magic that you have for it, where it's something that you look forward to. You really can't wait to watch it, and you talk to your friends, and you can't wait to the next day at work, and that thing to look forward to. That's what builds a fandom. That's when people start really vibing over this stuff and making some extra connections, and it just helps to drive the market of your original property. Outside of Stranger Things, I think Wednesday is their next biggest hit, and that's a really, really recent one. Stranger Things, this is its 10th year, I believe. And Wednesdays are like only in like year 2. But since Stranger Things, you haven't heard any kind of massive explosion of original properties. HBO has tons of them. HBO has tons of them. Warner Brothers, HBO, whatever, they have tons. The Disney already with The Mandalorian, I would argue that's a pretty successful one with that little baby Yoda guy. getting its own silver screen movie this year. But I really think that the binging is hurting the way that people watch stuff. They have proven that the binge drop formula is used by some companies just to get it out and out of the public eye because they know it'll be swept under the rug so quick. And even Netflix, the gold standard of binge drops, has proven and shown that they're expanding their drops because it's more profitable. How do you like to consume them? Do you enjoy the binge experience or the weekly by weekly experience? Because you can always go and just binge it when it's all said and done, just like waiting for that DVD box set to come out. In terms of the industry, I think it would help the industry a whole lot if they went back more to what used to work. It wasn't long ago everything was working fine with movies and shows and the formula and the format they had. The streaming stuff is just throwing a wrench in everything. And if they would just collectively lean on what works, we would have a more healthy entertainment market. And that's good for us as fans and consumers. Sometimes we have to swallow our pride and kind of just, all right, I want it all now, but what's best for the long run? So I get more good stuff along the way. But just wanted to share those thoughts and get some feedback what everyone else thinks. I hope everyone's prepared for the final season of Stranger Things. It looks like it's going to be absolutely incredible. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'll be talking about it after each drop right here on Sunday nights during Weeks In. Until next time, guys, be sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that join button. It helps out the channel a lot. Peace.